Hi. You're probably wondering, uh, why am I seeing his face, and not hearing just his voice and those other two goobers? And to that I say, yes, it's me. It's Medium. It's Randy. And the reason being is the episode you're about to listen to isn't the one you're supposed to be listening to. The one you should be listening to is one that I hosted that was very funny, that involved Connor and Darren summarizing movies. Unfortunately, you're not going to hear that one because my computer hates me and you and decided to delete all of the data, all of the recording. So you don't get to listen to that. It's too bad for you. It was funny. So instead, try and at least enjoy a little bit Connor hosting in this one because he won the episode that no longer exists, sadly. So, yeah. Sorry about that, I guess.
Hello and welcome to the Connor's podcast. I hear that's the name we're going for.
Right.
Connor and
Off to a
friends.
great start. Off to a great start with just misinformation.
I am your host, Connor, and I am joined by my two guests, which you may or may not be hearing from more. If they want to introduce themselves, I'll let them on my podcast.
My name is Darren.
I'm Randy, and I'm not a guest. Once again, I would like to point out the misinformation
And Randy
being spread by
is
the host.
our own fact checker. And just like the real fact checkers, only half right. So
Yes, get snoped, idiot.
Today's topic, we are going to be talking about jobs and working because that's something we all do, believe it or not.
Right.
Yeah, true.
So let's just go with backgrounds first. So, Darren, what do you do for a job?
My current job, I am the assistant esports coach at the college that we all went to.
Very nice. Randy.
Yes. Currently, I'm employed by the sewer district of my native city of Cleveland. I work in the... hush. This is
Notice
my
how I
turn.
said ew on Cleveland and not the sewer district?
Yeah, I did notice that. That's why I commented. But I work in the administration department, specifically the customer relations kind of media department where we do outreach stuff.
The poop
That's what
media.
I do. Yes, the poop media.
Very cool. Well, I am an engineer, and I work with solar panels, not on solar panel, but with them. I'm not quite that high of a level.
Solar panels on trains because you're an engineer?
No, that's not how that works.
They don't have solar powered
those use-
trains yet?
No, trains still use electricity and or coal and or other destroying, disgusting energy sources,
Okay,
and
Very
not
green
the
of you. Very
clean,
green.
the clean energy of the sun.
I don't mean to step into your territory, but don't solar panels also generate electricity?
Yes, but the electricity the trains get is not from solar panels. They're probably from coal and oil and
Diesel fuel.
yeah, bad stuff.
I was
Maybe
waiting
even
for you to
wind
get to the
turbines.
point when you mentioned diesel fuel because that is what trains run on 99% of the time. But you didn't say
Yeah,
it, so I feel like I had to hop in.
My
A
fact
train
checker
expert.
once again.
True.
99% of train experts agree.
Yes. The 1% is like,
Wow,
Cut out, but
quite
true.
the joke.
sorry, no is what I said.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
okay.
my microphone doesn't think I'm as funny as I am.
Your microphone just knows when to quit. Anyway, so do you guys have any work stories from your current job or any past ones you want to share with the class?
So yes, I do. And for the first story, I'm not going to tell it from my current job. I have a story from a previous job I worked at. It's a couple years ago now. The first summer, was it, of COVID, or maybe the second? I don't remember because that period of time. What I'm saying is I can't remember if it was the first summer. No, the first summer of COVID, I worked at Dollar General. That's right. Second
True,
summer
I
of
remember
COVID, I worked landscaping, and I did it because I needed employment, and I needed it now. And I had a buddy, and he was like, "Hey, my uncle has a landscaping company, and he needs guys to help out, and he'll pay you this amount." And the amount at the time I was like, oh, yes, perfect.
It's so much.
Please guess what the amount was that I was like, oh, absolutely. I'll do hard labor for that. Please guess.
$15 an hour?
You win, Darren. $15 an
Woohoo!
hour.
Let's go.
I'm
Yes.
so good at this game.
The summer of 2021, which was the second summer of COVID, I said $15 an hour. I'll break my back for that,
I'll
baby.
sell my soul for that.
Absolutely. So I reach out to this guy and I, get connected. Now, when I say he has a landscaping business, I don't mean like he's got like 20 employees and there's like company trucks. I mean this guy has an F-250 and a trailer, and he goes and does landscaping jobs for people.
Oh,
and he
okay.
technically has a company, but it's basically just him, and sometimes he has like people who come on to help. The
Right.
reason for it being just him and no consistent employees will be obvious shortly.
Oh no.
Now,
Who is Short Lee?
Okay.
you're
Hilarious.
such a good host, Connor. I love you. Anyways,
Thank you.
this is not the first instance of him being this way, but the most egregious instance of him being this way occurred on a day when I was working, and also my friend Sam was working. I got him to do this for a little while because he needed cash. He
Like a
lasted,
pyramid scheme.
yes, except
Yes.
worse. He lasted far less time than I did in this job, but regardless. Oh, also, my friend
Why'd you
TJ was
kill him?
there. I got both of them involved in this because I'm
It
a
really
terrible
is a
person.
pyramid
It's a
scheme.
pyramid scheme. Anyways, so the day of the incident, we're working in this brand new development. A brand new, like 5 years ago, it didn't exist. It was farmland. Now it's here. There's a lot of houses, but a lot of them don't have very developed and manicured yards. Like some of the yards are still just dirt. We're working on a house in a cul-de-sac that is a very new yard. And today's task was install a sprinkler system. Now, I don't know
Difficult.
if either of you ever lived in a house that has a sprinkler system, but
Nope.
No.
We've had a hose that connects to one of those sprinkler things that just goes back and forth, but that is about as
True.
fancy as we get.
yeah, see, those are relatively simple. An actual installed system in the ground is not. And believe it or not, I had been working for this guy for about 2 months, and I knew the type of fella he was. Spoiler alert, vaguely schizophrenic.
My
But
favorite.
there were times when it was all right, and when he would instruct how to do things, and the instructions made sense, and I did the things. There were other times when the instructions were not clear, and then he would leave. See, this man had a tendency to tell me to do things, or us, if there were other people there, like Sam and TJ on this day. He would give instructions that were not quite clear, and then he would leave to go and pick up supplies for other jobs. Now,
Terrible.
this particular day, it was storming on and off. It would start raining, and then it would stop. And it would start raining, and it would stop. And so we are trying to install this sprinkler system, which it was like a mini sprinkler system for mulch beds to water bushes. We're trying to do this in the pouring rain, all three of us, having as much instruction as you can get in 20 minutes from a man who likes to explain things, assuming you already know how to do them.
Right.
And so thus, for about 4 hours, we're trying to install this sprinkler system with these hoses, cutting the hose pieces, attaching the pieces. I slice my finger open on the cutter for the hose. I'm
Oh, my
bleeding
goodness.
everywhere. I'm bleeding
That was
quite a bit.
supposed to cut the hose, not your finger.
Yes, I see, I should have known that, but,
It's in the name.
newbie, I guess. Anyways, I'm bleeding. One of the guys is running around trying to find something to stop the bleeding. The other guy is basically standing there in the rain, like, 1,000-yard stare, like the guy in that meme,
Oh, no.
like from War. And our boss shows back up.
He's
And he
saved.
walks-
Which version of your boss?
No. Well, he walks up to us, looks at our progress, which was probably about a third of like the sprinkler system that needed to be installed, starting at the one corner of the house and going all the way around the back to the front corner. We'd done about a third. He looks at our progress and he goes, "What the hell have you been doing this whole time?" Now remember, I'm standing there, blood dripping from my thumb, with an old rag wrapped around it, or a napkin or something. The other two guys are like
Oh no.
soaking wet, standing in like the muddy mulch, We're all looking at each other, and we all come to the conclusion, this isn't worth it. This just isn't worth it. And so
I'm
TJ
glad you came to that conclusion. I feel
doesn't
like
come
some
back to
people
that
don't.
job. No, a lot of them don't. TJ does not come back to the job. Sam stays around for about another week. I continue to work with this guy for about another month
He's the one.
until
He's the one
until
that doesn't
one
figure it
morning
out.
He does
I wake
not.
up. I wake up one morning with a terrible, terrible stomach ache, which it had been a recurring thing that was happening, but it was so
That
intense
has
that
been
my
a recurring thing since I've known you.
yes, but this summer it was especially bad. My mother took me to the emergency room, and they diagnosed what was happening to me as acute stress-related pain. So basically,
Oh,
I was so stressed out by this job, specifically by the guy, because the job itself was hard labor, but whatever. I was so stressed about this fellow who would consistently just freak out at me and make me feel like at any moment he could come back and, basically chew me out. I got so stressed out that I had such extreme stomach pain that I had to go to the ER.
wow.
Are
And
you sure you
that
didn't have
was
to go
my,
poop?
well, no, I
Yeah,
did have to
you
go
just had
poop
to. Oh,
many times. But no, I ended up being in the ER for several hours with an IV, um,
and then you
because,
quit.
and then I did not go
For
back.
another month.
And the best part, possibly, is that up until that point, I still had $300 he needed to pay me for my next paycheck.
Oh,
I never saw him again, and he never paid me that money. So,
That's
free
crazy.
labor.
yippee, baby! And
Didn't even get paid
that's my
15
story.
bucks an hour. Brought down to like 13, 12. Who knows?
Yeah, so that's my story.
That
That's
was not a
20
fun story.
hours of labor, Randy. That's 20 hours of labor.
Uh huh. Yes, it
Oh,
is.
A whole half week.
that's crazy.
It
Darren,
truly. Well, real quick before I finish, I just want to say, if anyone has ever had a job where it's like truly 100% terrible all the time, you don't really feel bad about like the situation or leaving or like getting out of it or
Right.
like insisting that you're paid for your work. But because he was this fellow who half the time he would be jovial and friendly and would like buy me lunch, and the other half of the time would be like, I am going to break you down to nothing. Created,
drill sergeant.
created a job experience where I ended up not leaving the job until it came to a point where I had to go to the ER. So yeah, I just want to put that out there. He wasn't the worst person in the world, but he was the exact right type of person to make the job very, very bad for me.
Wow. What incredible life lessons. Darren, is your story any better?
So I could go off of his story in two directions. One,
Oh,
the
in a
backbreaking way.
positive direction, por favor.
No, they
Oh,
both go in negative directions.
this is a horrible topic. Who chose this?
My okay, I'll just short story really quick. My COVID job was working in a Little Tikes factory, which was
Made
not fun.
children. Made little tykes.
No, it made the Little Tikes equipment, which is like playground equipment, which doesn't sound hard, but then you're on the line and they're tossing molten plastic at you that you have to grab with gloves that are heat resistant,
Ah,
and like scrape the extra plastic bits off of it and then package it up in like a Lego formation into the box. Mind you,
did,
I knew that I had a skin condition that made me extremely sensitive to heat, but $15 an hour. I think I also got paid $15 an hour to do this.
15
So
bucks is 15 bucks.
in the post COVID, in the during COVID, that was during that time I was also living in the attic of a barn by myself with
Yeah,
no
I remember that.
AC. It was
That was a horrible
horrendous.
time for you.
It really was. Uh, yeah. So that was a horrible time for me. It was not fun. I have what's known as acute tendonitis, which is like my wrists start just disintegrating when I'm stressed. Uh, and it's mostly because I was actually out my entire freshman year of like the esports because I did esports. But because of stress, I couldn't use my wrists and I had to ice them every night. Uh, but it's because I have like a pinched nerve in my back. So that was going crazy too during COVID. It was not a great time.
Wow. I don't think anyone had a good time during COVID, but that might be the worst. Or like that's. I think yours is like worse than
Yeah,
average or whatever.
yeah,
Mine
because most
mine was
people
like
like
fine. I like
most
worked at
people went to their
Walmart.
family. Most people like went and lived with their family or like their close loved ones, their significant others. I was alone in a place that was nicknamed hell by the previous occupants.
Ah,
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Little
Yeah.
Tykes is hell.
No, not Little Tykes, but
Oh,
also not a great place. The loft, the barn, the previous occupants nicknamed it hell because
oh,
it only gets hotter.
Instead of Dante's Inferno, it was Darren's Inferno.
Literally, I was on fire and I have a skin condition that makes me itch. It was terrible. Um, but that was like the less stressful other like I've had like 4 or 5 jobs. Uh, three of them have been like back breaking. One was a stay at home job where I was working for Louisiana State to like set up their esports program. And much like
And you were
Randy,
reimbursed in chicken only, fried
oh,
chicken,
I wish
and
I
really
didn't.
hard biscuits.
but it makes the keyboards all greasy.
Right. Yeah, very greasy. Anyway, I was setting up their program so that they could have like a scholastic like high school and middle school level esports program. And it started off as I was going to be working through Volunteers of America, but that fell through because of the same boss lady who, oh goodness, close to not schizophrenic, but definitely something wrong with her. Uh,
She's on the something.
she's on to something for sure. The something that makes working for her horrendous. And also, I was working online, which meant there was communication errors in addition. But basically, what ended up happening is because it fell through because of her, the Volunteers of America version. So instead, they were going to be like, here's this contract work. You're going to do contract work for my company directly, and we're going to set it up, and it's going to be great. And you have the expertise and the knowledge, and you're so good, and that's why we're going to pay for you to do it, even though we were going to have you for free before. But now we're going to pay you out of our own pocket
That
because
sounds like a good deal.
we
Quite
see
the
the
promotion.
value. We see the value in what you do. And so I was like, wow, I'm getting gassed up by this employer and they want me and that feels
What could
really
go wrong?
good.
What could go wrong?
What could go
What
wrong?
could go wrong?
My employer respects me. Spoiler alert, they did not. So basically I ended up working a lot, like 20 hours of overtime a week, kind of a lot.
Oh.
And like just working nonstop on getting a bunch of different like checklists done for them. And yeah, spoiler alert. So yeah, I was like because it's like it's a whole thing. It's all of Louisiana, so that's a lot of stuff and there's different teams coming to me asking random questions and I'm trying to answer it all. And long story short, we got to about like the last couple weeks of when I was going to work there and I was counting the money that I was originally supposed to work for X amount of months and I was supposed to make $10,000, right? And it was going to be like less than minimum wage before I started started working overtime. So that was great.
Very
But I
fun.
was like, okay, I can just bang these things out because it's like a set list of things, right? So when I get done with the list of things, they'll pay me the number that is agreed upon.
And then you're
For,
done.
and then I'm done.
Makes sense.
Well,
Simple.
what ended up happening was they just kept adding things to the list without increasing the number of pay. And I kind of took it for about 4 months and didn't say anything and just did it. And
You glossed over 4 months. That is so long.
yeah,
For 4 months, you said, "Oh no, I'm sure it's fine."
sure,
Just
it's fine. It's my dream job. I'm working in esports. That what else could it was? I don't know. I was naive.
Randy, you just told us your story about how you worked a month longer after your boss yelled at you
listen. It's 1 month.
when your finger was
It's
bleeding
1 month. Oh yes, my finger continued to bleed for a month.
for the entire month.
Man.
Yes. No, but 4 months is a crazy amount of time I mean, I get it though, because you're doing something that you actually kind of enjoy, that you
Right.
wanted to do, and you want to believe they're not gonna screw me over.
It's going to get better, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, at least I'm getting paid $10,000, right? That's the agreed amount thing in my contract that we both signed. It's got my signature and her signature. And so she was giving me excuses about halfway through about where the money was coming from. She's like, okay, I have this account for LASEF, which is the Louisiana Scholastic Esports Conference. And then Federation, sorry. It's from the South.
It's okay. You can
Federation.
glaze them. They were bad, apparently.
Right. And then SALU, which is the like school, the university that she was working for. So she's like, your money's coming from a different place now. It's fine. We just need you to finish up this amount of like time frame. And I was like, wait, my job doesn't
Here,
work.
eat this apple.
Yeah, literally.
Fine.
Eat this
Look how good
apple.
this apple looks like.
Oh, it's such a nice apple. So long story short, I ended up being like, I'm fine to do the things on my list. Like Sydney and I talked with my therapist for a long time, and everybody was like, Darren, you can't just keep doing this. It's like not healthy. And so I sat down in a meeting and she tried to bully me by bringing in one of my coworkers. When in reality, what ended up happening was I just kind of 180'd it on her and was like, well, here's my contract. You haven't fulfilled your end of the contract, and I'm trying to do my contract. Like, is any of the work I'm doing unsatisfactory in any of these categories? And she's like silent, and then she's like, no, I guess not. And now there's another, and I was like, oh well, so like what are we gonna do? Are you gonna pay me? And she's like, no, and I'm like, okay. I like she at that point I was like, I'm talking to an insane person. Like, you agreed that I did satisfactory work, but you're not going to pay me for the things that I've done. So I ended up getting around $8,000 instead of $10,000 for like
just not the
5
number.
months of work. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's literally not the number. It just straight up is not the number. And so like, I don't know. It was painful. I worked for them for about half a year. The first month I didn't work for them, but like there was like the job's right around the corner. You're starting like next week for 4 weeks in a row. So another year of me or another month of me like not having pay at the beginning. I should have known what was up when everything was falling through, and she was like, "Oh, anyway." Yeah, I'm not going to harp on this anymore, but that was worse job than like losing my wrists level of stress, cuz I fixed the problem in my back that was causing the wrists. I was having like a pinched nerve in my
You got it adjusted.
Right, I got it adjusted, or I like learned how to breathe. So
breathing is good. It prevents you from
is
crumpling
dying.
onto the floor of a
True.
fellow college person's room.
True. Anyway, yeah, that's my job. I've worked a couple of jobs, but those are 2 of them, and neither of them were great.
Both of your stories were so depressing, and I don't even have a story to like be like, oh, this one's so happy.
I've got one where it's kind of funny.
Oh, okay. Give me the quick
funny.
summary.
Okay, so this is because I remembered it when I brought up the fact that the first summer of COVID, I worked at Dollar General, which is a very simple and boring job because it was, I would stock shelves and I would work the cash register. Not much happened. And this was a Dollar General that was probably a 5-minute walk from my house, so a 2-minute drive from my house. Anyways, most of the time the interactions with people were fine. You know, people are just coming up Dollar General to, buy milk or peanut butter or Marlboro Reds,
Cigarettes, yeah.
That is what those are, yes. So, interactions are typically fine. Some people are more rude than others. Some people are nice. Some people are chatty. Some people don't talk. I had one fellow one time. He had come in several times, and he would walk in, and he would grab 2 or 3 cans of compressed air, and that was it.
Oh no!
And this had probably happened to like 3 or 4.
Just clean out his PC.
Yeah, his server rack. He'd probably come in like 3 or 4 times and
Oh
done this,
no.
and I'd always been like, "Huh, okay." I mean, I'm not getting paid enough to really care that much, but I am curious, like what's going on here. Um, and then like the fifth time, I think it was the fourth or fifth time. It was several times down the road. He buys his cans and he walks outside, and I kind of like lean over the counter and I kind of look out the window, like, what is this guy's deal? And
He
I
cleaning.
I see him. He walks out the door, stands under the overhang, pops the cap off the one bottle, just like sticks the end in his mouth and just
No.
Mans is doing whippets
Ugh.
with
Like the
compressed
worst
air.
kind of whippets.
Yeah, with like computer board cleaning compressed air. And I kid you not, he just drains the one can.
Oh
I see him throw
no.
it in the trash
And he goes for the second
and does
and
the
the third.
second.
No.
He only bought 2 cans that time, so he just
Oh.
does both in succession, tosses him, shakes his head comically like a dog, like, whoa, what a hit, and just
Oh
kind of walks away. And
no.
my boss, like, he was like near me in the store, and then I turn him and I go, I think the guy just comes in here and buys those to do whippets every time. And my boss goes, yeah, you didn't know that? And I was like,
Common knowledge, dude.
That is terrible.
and I was like, oh, okay. Anyways,
The real world.
guess I'll clock out. Bye. Yeah, that was one of those scenarios where I felt very sheltered. Is that the word?
Yeah,
Where I just
yeah,
didn't,
sure.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together. That
You're like, surely he's cleaning something. Something's really gross that he deals with all the
Going to the
time.
computer shop.
because like he was like a 50, 60-year-old dude. Like
He
with,
didn't
like,
look like
oh.
a whippet doer,
with like gray, like longish gray hair and a baseball cap.
brother.
Like it wasn't like he was like a 20-year-old something guy who also bought like several cans of Monster and had his giant vape rig sticking out of his back pocket. Like,
Are you aware of the opioid
It
epidemic?
hits Ohio pretty hard.
It hits the elderly.
It hit Darren really hard. Man's just
Yeah.
tweaking out over here.
Epidemic. I can use 3-letter words.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
anyway,
Words.
that was my experience with Mr. Whippet and his magical cans of air.
Wow.
Nice.
Well,
I have a positive story.
Go for it. Well, actually,
Uh,
that's not my call. I guess Connor has to say if you can go for it.
yeah, minus 10 points to you, Randy. But Darren, go ahead.
so my story was this was my first job. I worked in a strawberry field when I was like 15, which
You
might
never
be
told us that.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't fun. I was allergic to the sun. So so
Not
like it's
strawberries,
like
though, thank God.
not strawberries. I was eating so many strawberries. So when you work in the fields, there's like a joke where it's like, don't eat the produce, and then everybody eats the produce. Because it's like you're on your knees, you're picking from bushes, you've got bugs on you, you're covered in dirt, you're picking strawberries for I think like minimum wage, if that, and probably minimum wage. This is Monroe's Orchard, so they're
All them out, I guess.
right. No, it's probably minimum wage. What I'm saying is they're reputable. And they make very good apple cider. Anyway, they
Out of strawberries? Wow.
That's incredible. Some black magic.
That's like magic.
It's a wider array of fruits at this orchard. So anyway, my story, there's nothing really happened. I just picked strawberries every day for like all summer and then got paid, and at the end they were like, you guys did so good. We made X amount more money than last year. So we're going to reward
Hooray.
you guys with a pizza party. I'm lactose intolerant, but I didn't know it at that time. And also we're gonna watch Transformers out in the orchard. So we went out in the orchard
Epic.
and like on a sheet, like hung a sheet from a wire and projected Transformers onto it.
In
Which
the
It was
middle
actually
of the
pretty
day.
nice. No, it was nighttime.
Which
It was really
Transformers?
nice reward. It had to have been. Let's see. It was like. I don't think it was the one where they're dinosaurs or anything. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm not a Transformers head.
Disappointing.
I did the first one or the
Do
second
you
one,
know, Randy?
probably.
Which
Well,
one has the dinosaurs?
It wasn't
uh,
that.
Age of Extinction, probably.
Ah, see,
That's
I don't
that
even
was
know the
bad.
name of that. I didn't even know there was a Transformers with dinosaurs.
It goes, there's the first Transformers, which is just Transformers, and then
Yep,
it's
that
Revenge of the
I'm not gonna
Fallen,
guess.
and then Dark of the Moon, and then Age of Extinction, I believe, and then something
That one
else.
sounds really hard to pronounce.
It is.
Yeah.
It's also a really long
Saudi
title.
Arabia.
Yes, Transformers. Saudi Arabia. The female Transformers aren't allowed to speak.
They have to wear a
They aren't allowed to
kimono.
drive themselves.
Let's get away from this joke.
What is the Transformers with the black goo in it?
Decepticons.
What?
No, there's like a black
Oh,
goo.
Transformers: The Last Night. That's the one I
That's
was
the one
forgetting.
we watched.
That one?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Sounds like a
Was it
terrible time.
was it bad? No, I had a good time.
To be fair, I don't think any of the Transformers movies besides the first one are good.
Oh,
True.
you hesitated. You were like, I'm about to call the first one good.
Okay, no, it's not like you're like, I'm gonna sit down for like a cinematic, like okay, you're not sitting down to watch The
No, I
Godfather.
get it.
You're sitting down to watch a bunch of giant robots punch each other in the face and be vaguely racist.
They are definitely racist. I don't think it's vaguely.
They're like, all
You're
the
right.
Decepticons are
Sorry.
evil, and that sounds pretty
No.
bad.
I was thinking more of the fact that instead of the Transformers movies, some of the Transformers just have like very racist like accents and attitudes. There's like two that are like little Mexican twin Transformer robots that
What?
just say a lot of like stereotypical like Mexican-y things. I think
How?
that's
Interesting.
Don't
Are
they
any of
all
them
come
race
from
cars?
a different planet? They have Mexico on Ultron?
no. I just think they talk like that. I think Michael Bay was like, "Wouldn't it be funny if?"
Oh no.
Actually,
There's also a lot of testicle jokes in those movies. I think too.
Are there really?
do they even have? Anyway, let's move back to jobs.
Right.
Uh,
What about you, Connor?
me?
No
I
one
don't
cares
have.
what Connor's done.
It's very true. I really don't have any job stories. Like, I've had quite a few jobs, a lot of just internships, but I don't really have like stories. I'm very much one to just like get there, kind of do my job, and
Get paid correct
Yeah.
amount of money.
okay, I guess I do have one job. Um, so for one of the summers, I believe it was right after senior year. I was still living on campus, and I went to. I was going to go back to campus the next year for a fifth year, and
Mhm.
You failed the fourth.
What,
because
no.
horribly.
What do you call your fifth year when you don't fail it? Like
Super
It's-
senior.
super senior? That's
Yeah.
correct.
Senior,
It
yeah.
has its own name.
I also tend to call it the extra year because it wasn't quite needed.
A lost year.
A lost year. Anyway, I went to go work at a concrete place in
That's concrete, baby.
concrete that was like right beside the campus. It was like maybe a mile, maybe half a mile away from campus. I went to go work there, and I was like, hey, yeah, I'm getting my degree and kind of doing this with it. And I was like, maybe I could, work here for a little bit, kind of understand the process, and then kind of move up in the place.
See some
No.
concrete, say, hey, look, that's concrete.
Yeah. And they were like, that's a great idea. Here, we'll have you work, and we'll have you kind of start out with like the people making the concrete. And they did kind of more sewage stuff, or I guess it was like storm drain.
No.
Yeah, I know, I hate that.
Stormwater infrastructure. Let's go.
Yeah. So like the like storm basins and just whatever. They kind of made that stuff.
Sure.
And they were like, "All right, you can go join them and kind of figure out what they do." So I did. I went to go join them for the first 4 hours of the day, get my lunch, and then I'd work in the office for the other 4 hours of the day. I worked at that job for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep, and that was it. It was an awful job. It
Really?
was other
They lied
than
about the concrete, didn't they? There was no concrete.
absolutely none. Other than
Cement.
just like lawn mowing on when I was like growing up and like kind of getting paid for that. That was my first like actual hands-on labor job. And that
Mine too,
sucked.
actually.
Do what?
Mine too. I forgot I mowed lawns.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it sucked. I'd always
Oh,
like
that
kind of do
reminds me.
my job, and it just always wasn't good. And like when we had poured the concrete, like the next day it would set, and we had to like push out
As
the
in, like,
holes.
it wasn't fun or enjoyable in any way, or like you were doing poorly at it.
A little bit of both. Like I
Yeah.
understand I'm not gonna have just like a fun time with concrete, but like I was also just not doing good. So like they had holes they had to make, and so they'd kind of put like a little bowl kind of shape when they made the concrete things,
Right.
which left a layer of concrete on there, but it was like a lot thinner than the rest of it. So you can just like take a sledgehammer and like pop it out. But sometimes that concrete was still pretty thick, and my scrawny arms could not break over the holes. And I had to go to my coworkers and be like, "Can you do this for me? Can you do it? Can you do my
Can you
work
please
too?"
break the concrete for me, please?
Mind you, Connor is a athletic man. He's not like a twig.
Yeah,
So just
but the
putting
people
that
I was
out
working
there.
with, they all had freaking forearms. Granted, they've been
True.
doing this a lot longer, but man,
Their literal actual job is smashing concrete.
it
That is
was.
crazy.
But and then I go into the office, and there was like, again, this is an engineering job, so I went. They had one engineer who kind of designed what we need to do for whatever day, whatever project it was, and they had like he wasn't a great leader. I'll
Mhm.
say that. So on his computer, he had a software that helped make the things how they're supposed to, and they're supposed to run really well.
Like make it the right shape.
Right shape, put the holes in the right area, kind of stuff
Sure.
like that. My job wasn't to use that software. I wasn't allowed to use the software for whatever reason. Instead, I had to print out pieces of paper that had like the lines of the proposed like sewer or whatever, and like
Okay.
trace them, and then like see what angle it's at, so I can like tell him the information of where everything's going, and just that was about it. I like it was a very
They made you
simple
do
and
it by hand.
yes, it was a very
Here you go,
That's
simple and
Connor.
crazy.
like easy
Here's a
job.
coloring book. Here's a concrete coloring book. Now make sure you color in the sewers this color and don't go over the lines.
Yeah, that's about what it was.
That's
Um,
crazy.
but I was like, oh, I can use the software too. Like I'm kind of understanding like what each thing means, and like he was like, no, you can't use it. It's kind of my only thing. The day before I left, because I was just like, I'm tired of doing this. This is awful. I'm not learning anything. This is a waste of time.
So you quit.
Yeah, I quit. But like the day before I left, because I gave him like a week notice, he was like, oh, I guess I probably could have given you that software to give you more work to do.
Oh,
Bro.
I was about to strangle him. I
He
was
was like,
so
oh,
close.
I guess you could have been doing meaningful work. It's too bad that didn't happen.
I love
Mhm.
that Connor has like a medium experience. He's like, I'm out of here. And Randy and I are just like having the worst experiences of our life. And we're like, but $15 an hour is pretty good, all right? We better stay in this job.
That's true, but at least at this point, I'd had my degree, so I was like, well, I can do better things with my degree than just
Sure.
waste my time here
True.
not doing anything. But anyway, I have a fun game for you guys.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to do something else, but we're kind of running out of time for that. But I have a game. I'm
Okay.
going to offer up the job I'm at currently, the engineering solar panel job, and you guys are going to
We are
fight
guys,
for
yes.
it. You are guys. You are
Oh.
going to fight for it. This is going to be a
I-
job interview, but it's going to be
Oh,
against each other.
I
Oh,
feel like I'm
no.
highly qualified.
I
Yes,
have a
I
I have a
chose a job
degree
that
in
neither
math.
of you are qualified for.
Hey, I'm closer to being qualified. He has a language arts degree.
True.
Well, you know, I speak the language of machines.
Right. At the sewer
Machines don't
district.
speak languages. Good try.
1001 I just said something about your mother in machine language.
Dang. Well, that's not going to get you the job.
That's what you think.
But yeah, so give me your spiel. I'm not even going to tell you what I do. Really, I'm just going to let you
Yeah,
kind
I
of.
was gonna say I
I'm just
don't
Wait,
going to
know
so
what you.
for.
are
You
we
have engineer and solar panels.
so we're proposing ourselves as good candidates for what we think your job is currently, our understanding of your
Do you
job.
want
Yeah,
us to like lie?
Well, I mean, that's kind of how a job interview goes anyway. You go on
That is
Indeed
true.
and you're like, I think this job does this. I don't actually know, but I'm going to act like I know exactly what I'm talking about. So, like, that's kind of this experience, but worse.
So
Okay.
I lived in Germany, the clean power capital of the world.
Excuse me, young man. Who are you? What's your name? What are your qualifications? Please start with those.
Sorry, I'm Darren Moon. I oh no, I'm bad at interviews. Oh no,
Don't worry.
you go
Take your
first,
time.
Randy.
Well, good morning.
Hello, sir.
Solar
It is 8
solar
p.m.
panel board. Solar panel. Good morning, solar panel.
Oh, yes. Oh, you have a
my
firm
na-
handshake.
Oh well, it's because every morning I exercise my hands. Anyways, my name
It's for Randy.
my name is Randy Jor, and I'm applying today to work here at your solar panel business. And
Business.
I would just like to say, from ages past, from the very beginning, the conception even of this solar system, the sun has always been there for me, for you, for those before us. I love the
true.
sun. I love the sun. And I just feel that I am highly qualified as a, as a personable person that I am to really coax the sun down into your lovely solar panels here. I know that you've been struggling to really get the sun to make the little cell panel things make electricity. You know what they're called. We all know what they're called. I don't need to say
Yep,
what they're
of
called.
course.
Photoelectric cells, maybe. Yeah.
Photovoltaic, I think.
No, that sounds wrong. Anyways,
Mm.
I know you've had struggles getting the sun to, kind of come down. The sun's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm busy. I've got stuff on my schedule. And you're like, oh, please, we need electricity. I am convinced that I can convince the sun to do its job, namely, come down and go into those solar panels you've got. I know that if you just give me 5 minutes, even with the sun, just 5 minutes, I can convince it to fill every solar panel you've got. Every single one, even the ones you haven't even finished yet. It'll fill them up, and then the electricity will work well. Even
Okay.
Yeah.
You make a strong case. Darren, do you
thank
have anything to add? Because you didn't have much in the first half.
No. So I know a thing or two about the necessities of solar panels, right? So like
Oh,
I think that clean energy is the future, and
Yes.
what can we do without it? I think you're in the best place.
Yes, I am in the
Mm,
best place.
yes, and I think you as a leader can bring us to the future, and I would love to be a part of that.
That's great. That's great. So far, none of you have told me how the heck you are engineers. In fact, Randy was like, "Oh, I can talk to the sun." Engineers aren't very good at talking. I don't know if
hey,
you've noticed that.
listen. You already have tons of engineers here that build little solar panels and go, oh, there needs to be a Phillips head screw there. No, there needs to be a flat head. You have all the nerds you need to make the solar panels, but your problem is the sun's just not going into them. All your nerd science and your nerd stuff doesn't help the fact that right now the sun's like, I could do better. That rock over there looks like a nice place to land my rays. No, you need someone to convince the sun. You need an intermediary in between you and that celestial body that we call the sun. You may not understand it, and you may not like it, but there's more to engineering than just numbers. You need
Listen.
personality.
Listen. What is engineering but utilizing mathematics?
Ooh, so
Mhm.
true.
So true, so true. You could not do engineering without mathematics. You'd be a caveman making a stick rock, and we're making a sun rock. So
We are.
I have a degree in mathematics, which is
Stick
certainly
rock.
closer than him.
What does that have to do with stick rocks?
No, I said sun rock. We're working with sun
Oh,
rocks.
so
See, he's
sun
so far
rocks.
behind.
Wow, he
Oh,
has no idea what his
dang it.
job is.
Shit, crap.
He just cussed during the job interview.
He did. That is very unprofessional.
No. This is a very progressive company, isn't it? You like swearing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of hard
Hey,
to.
no. It shows that I'm personable. I'm willing to use profanity in your
The
company.
sun doesn't like profanity. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. It comes out. It's very dark days when people use profanity.
I just disagree. I think if
That's
I
why
walk right
India
up
is
to the
covered in
sun,
smog.
Because they're profane.
never mind. I guess I was mistaken. This is not a progressive company. I'm rescinding my application.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think I
any
win.
victorious words, Darren?
Wait, was this
Uh,
game for the win of the episode?
Well,
Am
I
I
mean,
dumb? Don't answer that.
sounds like
Don't
it.
answer that. Shut up.
I would like to thank my parents. I'd like to thank the sun. I
Ah,
would like to thank
You
God.
don't even know the sun.
I do. His name is Jesus, and he led me to this victory.
Different sun.
poetic.
Thank you.
Biblical.
Thank you. We will work on the
I was poetic.
Sun Rock together, Connor, and we will succeed because you are a great leader.
Thank you. See, and that is how
No.
You gotta suck
No.
up to the boss.
you do.
You like made it when he said some garbage about being poetic, and you were like, yes, I was being poetic the whole time. Why did you
True.
give me
You
points for
cursed at
that?
the sun.
I didn't
Yeah.
curse at the sun. I'm saying that if I walked up and I was like, damn, you're hot, that would work because the sun's hot.
You got Riz? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
you're
can
trying to
riz up
say?
the sun. I guess
Sun
it's too
riz.
late. I already rescinded my application, but whatever.
Yeah, go work down the street for some turbine company.
Ugh, yuck.
Maybe even like a sewer company, some way down the totem pole.
No, that's at the top of the totem pole, actually.
Mm. Well, there you have it, folks. Darren knows how to get a solar panel engineer's job, and Randy
Has a degree in language arts.
can speak. So
I've been known
thank
to say
you.
a word or two.
So thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you next week on Connor's Great Podcast.
I refuse to put my seal of
Losers,
approval on that name.
the winners create history.
Craig!
Bye.
Craig!
I'm